Unearth the hidden tales of history, the intriguing narratives that somehow slipped through the cracks of traditional education. From bizarre battlefield strategies to the quirky habits of historical figures, there's a trove of captivating stories waiting to be discovered, the side of history that rarely makes it into the textbooks. Get ready for a journey into the lesser-known, often overlooked, and downright fascinating facts that history class never quite managed to unveil. Tricking the Confederates into blowing up a warship. In the middle of the U.S. Civil War, the USS Indianola, a Union ironclad river gunboat, sailed past Confederate defenses in Vicksburg to reach the Red River and block Confederate supplies. However, things took a turn when Confederate rams attacked her on the night of February 24, 1863. The Indianola ran aground and was captured. Worried about the threat it posed in Confederate hands, Union Commander David Porter came up with a clever plan. He ordered the creation of a fake ironclad using an old coal barge. This dummy ship had paddle boxes, fake cannons made from painted wooden logs, and barrels stacked to look like funnels, producing fake smoke. They floated this dummy ship past Vicksburg, spreading rumors that a powerful ironclad was coming. Panicking, the Confederates blew up the recently captured Indianola to prevent its recapture. It turned out to be one of the war's most successful tricks. The medieval nunnery madness. In the 15th century, something strange happened in a German convent. It all began with one nun who started biting her fellow sisters, and for some reason, this bizarre behavior spread like wildfire. Before long, the convent was filled with crazed nuns running around and biting each other. The news of this biting frenzy didn't stay put. It traveled to other convents in Germany and soon reached as far as Holland and Italy. Nuns across different regions were getting caught up in this strange madness. Authorities were puzzled and worried about what to do. The church tried prayers, masses, and even exorcisms to stop the nuns from biting each other. But nothing worked. Finally, they took a more straightforward approach and threatened to punish any nun who bit another with flogging or dunking into water. After a few examples were made, the nuns realized it was time to stop, and the biting fever quickly came to an end. The Great Empress, who died. While taking a great dump, Catherine II, also known as Catherine the Great, ruled as the Empress of Russia from 1762 until her passing in 1796. Originally a German princess, she became the leader after arranging the assassination of her husband, Tsar Peter III. Catherine continued the modernization efforts initiated by Peter the Great, bringing Russia into the mainstream of European politics and culture during her reign. However, her impressive rule didn't match her less than dignified end. There were rumors about Catherine's demise involving scandalous activities with a horse, but the truth was less sensational yet still awkward. Struggling with constipation, Catherine had a fatal stroke while exerting herself on the toilet. Her maids, waiting outside, assumed the loud sounds were signs of relief. Growing concerned when Catherine didn't emerge, they delicately checked on her and discovered the Empress had passed away on the toilet. The king who bankrupted himself, building fairy castles, Ludwig II, famously known as Mad King Ludwig, was a big fan of art and architecture, especially when it came to building enchanting fairy tale castles. Born in 1845, he ruled Bavaria, and after it joined the German Empire in 1871, Ludwig decided to step back from governing and fully dive into his artistic passions. The theatre and opera, especially the works of Richard Wagner, captured his heart, and Ludwig became Wagner's lifelong supporter. Ludwig's grandest passion, however, was constructing magical castles in the Bavarian mountains. His first creation was Linderhof Palace, completed between 1869 and 1878. At the same time, he started building Neuschwanstein, a fairy tale castle perched on a crag adorned with scenes from Wagner's operas. Construction lasted from 1869 to 1886, and this castle later inspired Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty castle. While Neuschwanstein was taking shape, Ludwig began an even more ambitious project in 1878, the Herrenchiemsee Palace, modelled after Versailles. Unfortunately, due to Ludwig's overspending on his hobbies, he went bankrupt, and Herrenchiemsee was never finished. Neglecting his official duties, spending wildly, and becoming a recluse, Ludwig's ministers had enough by 1886. They declared him insane and sent him to a remote palace. Just 3 days later, Ludwig ended his own life by drowning in a lake, taking his psychiatrist with him. It was a tragic end to the extravagant and artistic reign of Mad King Ludwig. The Princess Maid. Around 1754, a woman named Sarah Wilson worked as a maid for one of Queen Charlotte's ladies in waiting in Britain. However, she got into serious trouble when she was caught stealing the Queen's jewels and gowns. As a result, she faced a hanging sentence, but it was changed to penal transportation to Maryland in 1771. Once in America, Sarah, now an indentured servant, managed to escape within a few days, holding on to some of the stolen Queen's belongings. Wearing one of the Queen's dresses, Sarah came up with a wild story. She claimed to be Princess Susanna Caroline Matilda of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, supposedly Queen Charlotte's sister. To explain her presence in America, she made up a family quarrel and scandal that forced her to leave Britain temporarily. Surprisingly, many people believed her tale, and Sarah, now known as Princess Susanna, lived a life of luxury. Traveling from New Hampshire to the Carolinas, she charmed government officials, wealthy Americans, and social climbers who wanted to befriend a royal. American troops were saved by Tootsie Rolls. In the harsh conditions of the Korean War at the Chosin Reservoir, American troops faced numerous challenges. Outnumbered 8-1, low on supplies, and battling freezing temperatures of -25 degrees, they found themselves in a tough spot. Adding to their troubles, they were running short on mortar shells, which were given the code name Tootsie Rolls for resupply orders. However, someone misunderstood and instead airdropped crates of the candy Tootsie Rolls. Surprisingly, this mistake turned out to be a fortunate one. Tootsie Rolls, unlike many other foods, were edible even when frozen, providing a much-needed boost to the weary soldiers. Beyond being a snack, the troops discovered a creative use for the candy. When chewed, Tootsie Rolls became pliable, but in the freezing conditions at Chosin Reservoir, they hardened like putty. The soldiers used this makeshift epoxy to patch up bullet holes in equipment and repair broken tools. Fueled by the sugar from the Tootsie Rolls, and with their gear fixed, the American forces successfully broke out of the Chosin Reservoir and fought their way to safety. The Snake Eradication Plan. That disastrously backfired back in British India, Delhi faced a problem with venomous cobras, and the rulers wanted to get rid of them. They offered a reward for every dead cobra, and people quickly started bringing in cobra skins to claim their bounty. However, the number of cobras in the city didn't decrease. Officials soon realized what was happening. Locals had started breeding cobras for profit. The reward for cobra skins was higher than the cost of raising a cobra, turning it into an unintended money-making venture. When authorities caught on, they stopped paying for cobra skins, but this decision had unexpected consequences. With no value for cobra skins and captive cobras, the sensible move for the cobra farmers was to release the snakes into the city. This turned Delhi into a breeding ground for cobras, and the snake population grew significantly. The authorities' well-intentioned plan had backfired, leaving Delhi with more cobras than before. Albert Einstein declined an offer to become the second president. In 1952, there was an interesting offer on the table for Albert Einstein. Chaim Weizmann, the first president of Israel and a close friend of Einstein, was unwell and suggested that Einstein step in as the new president. Weizmann, who had been serving since 1949, thought highly of Einstein, considering him the greatest Jew alive. Einstein, being a strong supporter of Zionism and believing in collaboration between Jews and Arabs, seemed like a good fit. Despite feeling deeply moved by the offer and the assurance that it wouldn't interfere with his scientific work, Einstein decided to decline the position. A former pirate planned to rescue the ex-emperor Napoleon. By 1815, Napoleon faced a downfall after his defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. The British sent him to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic, 1,200 miles away from any land. Escape seemed impossible, yet an Irish pirate named Tom Johnson claimed that in 1820, supporters of Napoleon in America offered him £40,000 to save the former emperor. Johnson's plan involved lowering a disguised Napoleon down the steep cliffs of St. Helena in a bosun's chair and then spiriting him away in one of 2 submarines. However, the rescue never happened, mostly because Napoleon insisted on a grand rescue by an army rather than sneaking away like a criminal. Empress Josephine's favorite companion was an orangutan. Napoleon's first wife, Josephine, had a penchant for unusual pets. Her collection included kangaroos, emus, and black swans. But her favorite was a young female orangutan named Rose. General Charles Desquin, the governor of Pondicherry, presented Rose to the Empress, making her the first of her kind in France. Surprisingly well-behaved, Rose often joined Josephine for meals, where she displayed impeccable manners, using a knife and fork to eat her favorite turnips while wearing a white cotton chemise. Josephine grew fond of Rose, and the orangutan even shared sleeping quarters with her and Napoleon. Unfortunately, despite the lavish care, Rose couldn't thrive in captivity and passed away after just 5 months. Thanks for watching the video, and if you found it informative, please like and subscribe to Time Capsule for similar content. We look forward to sharing more knowledge with you in the future. Until then, take care.